Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this video. Alright, so I'm gonna give you guys a fix for this issue, and essentially this issue is a big issue. Well, I wouldn't say a big issue, but if you have a crank no start issue, particularly with extreme weather patterns, with extreme temperature patterns, I mean, where it's like really hot out, really cold out, or it gets pretty warm out or pretty cold out, and you start having these issues with either a crank no start or a sporadic crank no start, or it happens during these these kind of extreme temperatures. Not very, but yeah. Okay, so here's what. All right, I had this situation with my vehicle a couple of days ago. The weather's gotten warmer out because I guess this is summer. Is it summer? Is the first day of summer started? I don't know, but the weather's gotten hot. All right, had some sporadic issues where over the last couple of days it started up, it cranked, and then I tried a couple of times, it started up, and a couple of days ago it would crank, and it wouldn't start up regardless of what I did. So I'm gonna tell you guys what. All right, if you guys went into this situation, you guys are probably perplexed by it because, well, I was perplexed by it because I changed the battery. The cranks were very, very strong. The cranks were very, very, very strong, and I didn't think it was the battery because the battery was changed out about a year and a half ago. These batteries should last you anywhere from 4 years. It should last you up to about 4 years, or 4 or 5 years when you change your battery. Sometimes 3 to 4 years. But regardless, I didn't think it was the battery because it cranked it up really, really, really strong. So I was thinking to myself, you know what, I'm just going to cross that off the list as far as troubleshooting is concerned, because essentially if you guys are in this situation, this is what you're going to do. You guys are going to go down the list of probably the easiest things you guys can fix to get yourselves out of the situation. And then you guys move on to the stuff that you guys don't know about, or you might need more tools to actually figure out, etc., etc. So battery is always my first thing when these kind of situations come up. You want to resolve that issue as far as crossing off the list of things to look for: loose cables, corroded terminals, faulty batteries, bad batteries, etc., etc. That's crossed off the list. Okay, it's very strong crank. Now, if the cranks were not very strong, I would actually consider the battery. Okay, but the cranks were very strong throughout, so I must have tried to start at least 4 to 5 times, put it in neutral, try to start it. It was very, very all 5 to 6 times where I tried to start it, it was very, very strong. So I crossed out the battery as far as that's concerned. Now, as far as the next step in the troubleshooting process, I was thinking to myself, it could be a variety of things. Okay, the situation could be a variety of things. It could be fuses, relays, fuel pump. It could be any sensor that is connected to the functioning of the engine, the mass airflow sensor, the crankshaft position sensor, the camshaft position sensor, the throttle body sensor, air temperature sensor, all those things. Okay, all those things. But here's the thing about it. As far as troubleshooting is concerned, every single one of those things actually have a sensor connected to it. If for the most part, okay, if you have any issues with any of these components with a sensor connected to it, you probably get a check engine light. Now, I didn't notice a check engine light on my vehicle, and haven't had a check engine light in a while, but I always carry an OBD2 scanner with me. And what I did was I plugged in the OBD2 scanner, made sure, and I always want to, when troubleshooting the steps, you always anybody out there troubleshooting the steps, you always want to go as far as troubleshooting from the easiest fixes to the hardest fixes. Okay, because the easiest fixes sometimes will get you guys out of these situations as far as time and money and frustration and stuff like that. So So I put a scanner in. It was a $20 scanner that I got from Walmart. And I have a couple cars, and I have one of these in every one of my cars, just in case. Okay, I just want to rule all those things out. So I plugged it in and scanned it. It scanned all the way through, 0 codes. All the monitors were complete, and monitors are essentially the sensors. All the sensors were passed. All right, all the sensors passed. So at that point, I ruled out all the things that I listed: the mass airflow sensor, the camshaft, the crankshaft, air temperature sensor, throttle body, throttle position sensor, all those things that could possibly cause this kind of issue got checked off. Okay, that's what I did. So so that's I went, and the fact that it scanned all the way through with no codes essentially means that I could probably check off the ECU. If it scanned all the way through with like 11 codes or something like that, I could probably say it was the ECU, but it scanned all the way through with no codes, so it's not the ECU. Cross that off the list. Next on the troubleshooting. All right, I was thinking, now what could possibly cause a crank no start issue? And I was thinking to myself, you know what, there are certain things that could cause a crank no start issue that could be easy to resolve. And one of those things is a dead key fob battery. A dead key fob battery, or a key fob battery that's almost dead, will cause this situation. But here's the thing about it: the doors locked and unlocked without any problems. Everything as far as remote worked, and I tested all of it out. I pressed all the buttons. Everything on the remote works. So I'm going to assume that the battery is strong enough to operate, to send out a signal to all those, to the locks and unlocks and all that stuff. I'm going to assume that that's probably not a problem with the key fob battery. Now, if you guys have this situation, it could be your key fob battery. You might want to just try check that out. You might want to swap it out. But to be honest with you, I swapped out the key fob battery about 7 months ago, and those batteries should last you for a couple years. It lasts, so I kind of crossed that off the list. Okay, so at that point, it could either be a couple of things, and it could be either a fuse, a relay that's causing this issue of the fuse system, mainly the fuel pump. And I was thinking to myself, let me check out the fuse. I looked at the fuses. Now, couldn't determine if the fuses had any kind of they couldn't determine whether the fuses had any kind of were blown, anything like that. And normally when you check out the fuses just from eyesight alone, you might want to you want to look to see whether there's any kind of whether the fuse is blown. A lot of times you can look through these fuses. Most of the time you can look through these fuses, and you see whether the fuse itself is disconnected, or whether there's a brownish hue on the fuse, burnt hue on the fuse. You can smell like it's burnt sometimes, okay? But it's very, very difficult to check that out with just from eyesight. So there was an AutoZone nearby, so I went to the AutoZone. I picked up a couple of things, a fuse tester. Picked up a fuse tester, checked out all the fuses. All the fuses were good. All right, there was no blown fuses. At that point, I was thinking maybe it was a fuel pump. So I was thinking maybe I could just try to listen to the fuel pump and turn it to the on position, see if the fuel is. I was checking to see whether the fuel pump was priming. Now, priming is what happens when the fuel pump actually, when you turn it to the on position, the motor actually runs, sends out, it pumps the fuel to the injectors, and you can actually hear the fuel pump running before it cranks and it starts up. I couldn't figure it. So at that point, I was like, out of those two situations, either the fuel pump or fuel pump relay, I was thinking, you know what? if I had to take a guess at whether the fuel pump is a fuel pump or the fuel pump relay, or just troubleshoot it to the point where I'm crossing my fingers. One of the the easiest of the two would be the fuel pump relay. So I at that point I was like, you know what? Let me check out the fuel pump relay, and if you guys don't know, in a lot of vehicles these days, depending on what your vehicle is, and this is a common issue to a lot of vehicles, there's a relay. There's a relay called the PGM-FI relay. That relay is in various vehicles. Some vehicles don't have them. Most vehicles just have a fuel pump relay. Other vehicles have a fuel pump relay 1 that's under the hood, and other vehicles have a fuel pump relay 2, which is the PGM-FI relay. And a lot of times that relay could be under the hood, but sometimes it's under the glove box. Sometimes it's under the steering wheel, under that area, and essentially that relay controls. It's an on-off relay for the fuel pump. All right, outside of the other relay for the fuel pump. This is the other relay for the fuel pump, and essentially in a lot of vehicles, this relay has issues when the temperature is either really hot or really cold. And apparently there's a defect in a lot of these relays where the temperature actually affects the relay itself, or makes it causes it to be faulty, or causes it to be faulty when it's really cold or it's really hot. Most of the time when it's really hot. All right. So I looked into that relay and thought about it. I could either A, get a tow, B, no, there wasn't a B as far as changing out the fuel pump is concerned. I didn't have the tools to do it. And C, change out that relay and hope that relay is the cause of it, because a lot of times, just changing out that relay could actually fix the problem. That relay would be the problem. So I was like, all right, let me just change out the relay, because that's the easiest that's the easiest to do. So went to AutoZone, got the PGM-FI relay, and took a little bit of time to swap it out. Crossed my fingers, started, and it cranked, and guess what? It started. All right. So if you guys have this problem, and hopefully you guys have this problem, it's the fix, as far as diagnosis is concerned, is one of the fixes that I listed as far as the easier fixes were concerned. Definitely, if you guys went through all the diagnosis that I went through, definitely you guys should definitely look at your PGM-FI relay, and hopefully that fix was as easy as yours. But if you guys have any of your own personal experiences with this, definitely leave a comment section. It could help somebody else out as far as their issues and stuff like that. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any comments, definitely leave a comment in the comment section. Please subscribe, please give me a thumbs up and all that good stuff. All right guys, take care.